Matthew chapter 5, verse 27. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, Thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her, hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
Now think about how many women, or how many men in the case of sisters, are being looked at on Instagram per day. Think about how many counts of adultery people got on their record. Think about it. How much adultery these kids is committing. Because Christ is showing you something. He's saying, if you look at somebody with lust in your eyes, you're committing adultery. So think about it. When they scrolling through TikTok all day, how much lust is in their brain? How many times they commit adultery? Not one count. They've been on it for 8 hours. You know, a TikTok like 10 seconds. They scroll and scroll and scroll. They commit adultery all day. And then you wonder, why is it manifesting itself in the physical? Because they've been doing it.
Little warm, gotta pick a side. Who am I? True Jesus state.
What they doing is they picking up these phones and they getting messages pumped into their head. They getting lust pumped into their head. They getting envy pumped into their head. That's why even that little girl, right, smart, right? But even she's affected by it, right? And what she said that was heavy there was, you know, when people don't care about these things, right? I'm happy for them, or I like people when people don't care, right? I wish I could be like them, or I'm proud of them. But she said before that, I'm not that way. That to me, that would have been a big thing to like address. But these are the things, like, we look at them and we just go past them, right? I know she's on TikTok for 8 hours, but what's even worse is she's comparing herself to people at that young age of 11, right? Read that.
Galatians chapter 5 and verse 17. For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would.
That's the problem. So now these kids have the flesh wrestling against their spirit. And guess what? They on fleshly things 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day. So how they going to do the right thing? Yeah, you read the scriptures maybe 2 or 3 times. They might come to the Sabbath. They go in the kids' room, right? They might go and listen to a song. But then they go on TikTok for 10 hours a day. So they get 40 hours a week of TikTok and 2 hours a week of the Bible. That's what's going on with these kids. So then when they end up in evil, we shouldn't be surprised. We should see like, dang, we got to step up. These youth is battling lust for real. Because all they doing is they looking at other people and they're like, man, I want that life. I want to be like this person. I want this car. I want this house. I want to live like this when I grow up. The truth don't get me to that. It don't get me the fancy car and the status. I got to be like Beyonce. How can I be like Beyonce? I got to go to the club. That's what they learning. Go ahead.
Well, Kai Cenat.
Kai Cenat is another one. You saw what he did in New York?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not even going to bring it up. No, go ahead. Say it.
Yeah, he just invited people for a meetup, so he can give out like 100 free gaming systems and whatnot. That whole city got flooded, swarmed, trash, cars were destroyed. His vehicle was chased down the street, and there was kids on top falling off the vehicle as he was driving away. Mm-hmm. That's how bad he got. He got completely out of hand. He's like, I'm not getting out of here.
All because of his influence. And all he do is play video games and dance online. And kids came outside and destroyed New York City. Y'all could go look it up when y'all get home, right? These young kids came out and destroyed New York City off of his influence. That's what these kids are living off of, these influences. Psalm 64 and verse 2, watch. And guess what? When he got them game systems, they wasn't paid for, most likely by him. Probably got an endorsement, got them for free. So somebody is behind the engine. Go ahead.
Psalm 64 and verse 2. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words.
This is what the enemy is doing. They hide themselves, but they're the ones doing the wicked. Somebody made the algorithm for TikTok. Somebody pumped it to your kids. Somebody said, in order to get all these kids in TikTok, we're going to get them dancing. We just need them to dance. Then once we get them on there, we're going to get them to buy stuff. We're going to get them to play the games we want. We'll turn them all into hoes. We just got to get them on the platform. That's the mindset of the enemy. Read.
That they may shoot in secret at the perfect.
They may do what?
That they may shoot in secret at the perfect.
The perfect is the Israelites. Go ahead.
Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not.
Read.
They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep.
This is how they think. So nothing is being done by accident. It's not random that all the kids are on TikTok for 8 hours a day, because they could go to the school system and they could teach every single day about don't use TikTok, don't lust, don't be envious. They could teach that in school. They don't teach that in school. They teach you to use those things day in and day out. That's their goal. And when they get you to use those things day in and day out, what does it do? It influences how these kids are thinking. It causes them to lust. It causes them to do the evil that you see them doing. They're not just doing it for no reason, but a lot of the time we're ignorant to the fact, right? We're ignorant to the fact. We're not paying attention. We're leaving kids with iPads. We're leaving them with the internet. We're saying raise yourself. We're leaving them with the TV and the remote and saying raise yourself. What do you think is going to happen? This is what's going to happen. You're going to get young girls committing fornication. You're going to get adultery. You're going to get these things happening because what? We're not guiding them the way we need to guide them. That's the reality of it. Go to Sirach chapter 27 and verse 11. Actually, no, I want the other video. Give me the other video I got.
Your phone changes your brain, as the average American touches their phone 2,600 times per day. And this constant scrolling has altered your
Hold up now, go back.
neural-
You see how many times they say you touch your phone per day? Go back. If I told you picked up anything else 2,600 times per day, you'll call me a crackhead. That's what you say. You say that's ridiculous. I don't care what it is. I don't care whatever it is. If you picked it up 2,600 times per day, you'd be like, damn, you're addicted to that. So many of us, we addicted to our phones. Many of y'all right now, if your phone was left in this building, you go crazy tonight. You'll start panicking, looking in the house, flipping stuff over, sweating. Where's my phone at? My phone at? It got to be in the car. You be outside, the hair wrap off, looking in the car. It's not in the car. Damn, I must have left it in the school. You won't be able to sleep. They got you like a crackhead. So think about a little kid. They worse. Hit play.
Their phone 2,600 times per day. And this constant scrolling has altered your brain's neurology. So what would happen to your brain and body if you tried to quit your phone? After 1 hour of quitting, you have likely tried to pick up your phone 3 to 4 times, because the average person picks up their phone 52 times per day. After 12 hours of quitting, you may start to feel anxious, as not checking your phone actually releases the stress hormone cortisol. This is due to how your phone changes these 3 neural pathways in your brain. They are activated when anticipating or experiencing a reward. Your phone's TikTok notifications, text messages, or Instagram story updates all act as mini rewards to your brain and physically change how these pathways work. In the new absence of your phone, cortisol is released because when you're endlessly scrolling or using social media, the positive social interactions reward the brain and cause constant firing. This causes a release of dopamine along these pathways in response to your phone's constant stimulus. Every ding notification, every thoughty, sexy photo of someone on Instagram, a text message from a friend, acts as a mini reward that you now associate with picking up your phone. And these little associations become stronger and stronger in the noggin until you're just constantly picking up your phone, you know what I mean? And sometimes you're on the phone with your mom, for example, and looking for your phone because you're like, wait, where's my phone? It's usually in my hand this way, not on the phone. And then you realize that we're all in the crisis of the cell phone age. So after 12 hours of quitting, you are no longer checking your phone. This lack of stimulus that you're used to in your brain causes a stress response, and you start to feel anxious. I hate this thing, but I secretly love it more than anything in the world. After 24 hours of quitting, and one survey found that people began to experience FOMO, the fear of missing out, which led to increased heart rate, increased blood pressure, and more anxiety.
This is what young kids are dealing with, that FOMO. Go ahead.
Had increased anxiety, but they couldn't exactly explain why. It wasn't just because of FOMO, for example, but it is likely due to the fact that these tech companies have actually hijacked our brains using their reward prediction error encoding of our noggins. Tech companies have studied these neuronal concepts in order to keep you using their products. If you look at this dopamine activity and reward chart, you see that you learn behaviors when you get a reward without a cue. You keep behaviors when you anticipate a reward and it gets satisfied, and you change a behavior when you anticipate a good reward, but it's worse than expected, so you don't want to do it again. This is all linked to our human evolution ability to survive. We predict a yummy, yummy food. The yummy, yummy food gives us health. We learn the behavior. We continue to eat. But when applying this to our phone, we often can't predict what is going to happen when we check our phone. And with notifications, likes, and communication, we are mostly always rewarded by checking it, making us learn to constantly check our phone. Also, since checking your phone is such a low-cost effort, you expect small rewards and are mostly satisfied, so you continue the behavior of checking your phone. The hijacking of these neuronal pathways means you have strong incentives to check your phone over and over and over and again. Now that you've quit your phone, the stimulus is removed, and that actually leads to increased anxiety. Day 3 of quitting is when most people start to feel the phantom vibration or phantom ringing of their cell phone that is no longer there. This is when quitting your phone starts to feel like a horror movie. You'll literally start to feel your phone buzzing in your leg even though it's not there, like a goddamn ghost of your old phone. But day 3 of quitting is when some good things start to happen, because you may begin to be rewarded by your friends, your family, your lover, because you're actually now paying attention to them. You are no longer phubbing, which is snubbing your loved ones for your phone. Oh, loved one, please stop talking. I must snub thee, for I am looking at hot man lifting weight topless on Instagram. One study had participants view an animation pretending to be with a sexual partner. One animation checked their phone throughout, the other did not. The participants perceived the people who didn't check their phone as having a better quality of communication and increased relationship satisfaction. After 3 days of quitting your phone, you may start to notice that your relationships are improving. After day 5 of quitting your phone, and your attention span may increase. You may even start noticing that you're doing better at work and school. A small study of college students who actively use their phones found they now focus on subjects for only 65 seconds. Another study of office workers who use their phones at work found they can only focus for 3 minutes at a time. But a study at the Carnegie Mellon University's Human Computer Interaction Lab took 136 students and got them to sit a test. Some of them had to have their phones switched off, and the others had their phones on and received intermittent text messages. The students who received text messages performed on average 20% worse than those who had their phones off. This is because your conscious brain can only produce 1 or 2 thoughts at once. Every time you open a text message or check a notification, your brain has to switch from task to task, creating the switch cost effect, making it harder for you to concentrate. But since you've quit your phone, you are switching tasks less often, and you may start to notice your attention span increasing and your ability to do better work at school or even at thine job. After 5 to 7...
You can keep watching later, y'all. All right? But the point I'm making to you see, obviously your phone is impacting you. Some of y'all can't focus. You say you got ADHD. No, you got cell phone problems. That's really what it comes down to, right? And this is what these kids dealing with. When you're like trying to talk to the kid and they can't hear nothing you're saying. Like, did you do this? Huh? When I used to say hi, I used to get whooped. I know that ain't happened to you. You know what I'm saying? I know I did it. When I used to say hi, I used to get whooped. But my point is, Sirach chapter 27 and verse 11. Let's read this. So, removing yourself from that phone will actually benefit these children. But they not removed from it. They stuck. And the reason we watch that far is so you can see, look at all the behaviors that start to improve when you don't use your phone for days at a time. So imagine what's going on again. And a little kid who don't got all the defenses you got or all other things to distract them, and they use their phone every day for 8 hours a day. Their brain is getting destroyed. The only thing they're going to be able to please them in the future is virtual reality. And they lining it up. We're going to get y'all off these cell phones. We're going to give you virtual reality. They setting it all up. Go ahead.
Sirach chapter 27, verse 11. The discourse of a godly man is always with wisdom.
Yep.
But a fool changeth as the moon.
Read.
If thou be among the undiscreet, observe the time.
See what it says? If you be among indiscreet people, observe the time. But when you got a TikTok, you among indiscreet people for 8 hours a day. Right? That's what the Bible says. It said, don't be among the indiscreet all day. But when you got a TikTok, you got an Instagram, that's all you get. Everything on your feed ain't the Bible. Everything on the feed ain't the Bible. So you're among the indiscreet for hours at a time. Go ahead.
But be continually among men of understanding.
That's what the Bible says you should be around. Continually among men of understanding. Go ahead.
The discourse of fools is irksome.
See, it should be irksome. But what happens to the child is the discourse of them irksome fools, it becomes regular for them. And then you start to become irksome. Because they want to get back to TikTok. So you talking to them, you're like, hey, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to take care of this. They're like, Mom, shut up. I want to get back to TikTok. Can I get my phone back so I can get back on Instagram? I want to get back on YouTube. Where's the iPad, Mommy? How many of y'all heard where's the iPad at? None of y'all never heard that from kids? Can I use the iPad? They don't want to talk to you. That's how these kids, before I used to like being around people that were older than me so I could learn something. I go sit down next to them and learn something. Kids don't want to be around people older than them. They want the iPad. They addicted. You got a bunch of little crackheads running around here. That's it. Go ahead.
And their sport is in the wantonness of sin.
So these children are on an uphill battle, and that phone, that's what's keeping them young and in lust. Right? That's what's taking them down this path. Go ahead.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3, verse 11. For whoso despiseth wisdom and nurture, he is miserable, and their hope is vain.
See, that's how these kids become. But even before them, the parents are that way, right? So they despise hope, right? And they despise, what does it say? Read it again for me.
For whoso
In the wrong book.
despiseth wisdom and nurture,
There we go. Nurture. Go ahead.
he is miserable,
Read.
and their hope is vain. Their labor is unfruitful, and their works unprofitable.
Here's the point I want.
Their wives are foolish, and their children wicked.
When you despise the wisdom of this Bible and the nurturing of this Bible, you raise up wicked, ignorant children. That's what's going to happen. Watch. Pull up the picture. Look at this. I want y'all to see this. I saw this today. This randomly in preparation for this class. Then we're going to go to Exodus 20 and 17 next. Look at that. Now, on the right is them with their little daughters. Aww. On the left is them, couple baby mamas later, and half-naked daughters later. Right? They're not ashamed of that. They're not ashamed. These are millionaires. If my daughter was standing with me like that, I'd be like, cover up. This is ridiculous. What the hell going on with you? We going home. You wouldn't even left the house, actually. But they on the red carpet with their daughters posing, and somebody say, you know what looks good? Let's piece these two things together. This is what you'll find on social media. And people will go, man, this is nice. And then what the young girls will do, they might go and they scroll through their timeline. I want to be like Nas' daughter. I want to be like Lil Wayne's daughter. But look what they grew up to be. Say it on the mic.
Hoes.
They grew up to be hoes. Because they was influenced by the same internet. Give me Exodus chapter 20 and verse 17. So we got to be mindful of what these kids is dealing with. Now, let's look at the Bible. Exodus 20 verse 17.
Exodus chapter 20 and verse 17. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house.
This is a commandment of God. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. But guess what kids are being taught? Covet everything. Covet somebody else's car. Covet somebody else's watch. Covet somebody else's wife. That's why they're lusting. All they're being taught is thou shalt covet. That's what Instagram is. Before, you didn't have to see people that was rich. When you lived in the hood, you went next door, and you and Ronnie, you both lived in the hood. His mom ain't have nothing, and you ain't have nothing. So you was like, we got nothing together. Let's go outside and play. But now you sit in the house on Instagram looking at, dang, somebody got something I don't have. I'm either going to go take it, I'm going to lie to get it, or I'm going to cheat. I'm going to do something so I can get this. That raises the murder rate. That raises crime. That raises women, young women willing to sleep with men so that they can make a certain amount of money and get a certain level of status. That's what it raises. Go ahead. Read that verse again.
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife.
That's lust, adultery, when you covet your neighbor's wife. That's what it ends up in. Go ahead.
Nor his manservant.
Read.
Nor his maidservant. Nor his ox. Nor his ass. Nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
You shouldn't want anything that's your neighbor's. It belongs to them. But that's not what you're being taught today. Give me 1 Corinthians 6 and verse 13. That's not what the young kids are being taught. So they're young and in lust. Why? Because all they're being taught is covet everything. 1 Corinthians 6 and verse 18.
1 Corinthians
13.
chapter 6 verse 13. Meats for the belly and the belly for meats. But God shall destroy both it and them. Now the body is not for fornication.
Your body was not created to fornicate. But the kids are not learning that. They're learning YOLO. They're learning as women, your body count don't matter. Sleep with whoever you want to sleep with and have fun. And when you get older, you'll settle down. That's what they learn on Instagram and TikTok. Yeah, they told you they was about to go in the room and they was going to watch dance videos. And then they scrolled up and hit the wrong thing. And that's what they saw. Now what? Now in their head is implanted this idea of fornication. And their body was not created for fornication. God said that a young woman was supposed to have one husband. That a young man was supposed to have one wife. That's what we're supposed to be pushing. And TikTok is pushing the opposite. But we leave these kids with TikTok and Instagram. They're going to go crazy. Go ahead.
But for the Lord, and the Lord for the body. And God hath both raised up the Lord, and will also raise up us by his own power.
Go ahead.
Now know ye not that your bodies are the members of Christ? Shall I then take the members of Christ and make them the members of an harlot?
Your body went from being the members of Christ's body to the members of a hoe. Why? Because you're sleeping with her. That's what it's referring to. You took the body that you're on rental for, because your body don't belong to you. It belongs to God. He going to repossess it when he's ready. So you take that body that belongs to him, and instead of using it the way he told you, get one wife, right, one husband, you use it and you turn it into, hey, I'm going to sleep with everybody. That's what the kids is learning. They battling this love stuff because it's getting pushed at them every single day. Every single day. When we was kids, they had music that you played about love songs, and you was singing it. You ain't know nothing about love. You couldn't spell love. But the song was hot, so you sung it over and over again. When that girl left you or that boy left you, you thought you was heartbroken. You ain't know what that meant. Like, damn, they left me. Now you at school, they're like, yo, she broke up with you, though? Yeah, man. The hell? She was a harlot, and you was a whoremonger. And you need to learn how to use your body right. But nobody's telling the kids that. Instagram is telling them, go get you another one. Read.
What? Know ye not that he which is joined to an harlot is one body? For two, saith he, shall be one flesh. But he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit. Flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body.
You see what he said? Flee from fornication. That's what we need to tell these kids. Leave that fornication alone. But the internet is teaching them, go and have sex. Be young and in lust. You in love. You love that dude. You love that woman. Young men and young women do not love nobody. They don't know what the hell they talking about. But the internet is teaching them something completely different. And that's how they ended up pregnant early, right? That's how they ended up in all these situations where they can't perfect their life because what? They fell victim to influences. We got to stop it as a nation. It's going to take all of us to stop it because they're getting pumped every single day with this. And they might come to the Sabbath once a week for about 8 hours. But every other day, they getting told, go be a whore or a whoremonger. Read.
Flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body. But he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body. What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own?
We are not our own, meaning what? Christ owns our body. So that's what we got to be able to tell these kids. You're not your own. You think your body is yours. Nah. It got rules and regulations. You wanted Proverbs 22 and verse 15. I got you. I'll read it. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 22 and verse 15. It says, foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him.
Right. So my thing is this. Who knows what foolishness is? Who knows the precept for what foolishness is?
Proverbs chapter 24, verse 9. The thought of foolishness is sin, and the scorner is an abomination to men.
Right. So it says the thought of foolishness is sin. So when we go back to that Proverbs 22, verse 15.
It's the book of Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 15. Foolishness is
stop. Sin. Go ahead.
Is bound in the heart of a child.
Right. They're going to be more inclined to those things. The scriptures tell you that. That's when you have young kids, what's the first thing they think about? That it's envy, it's covetousness.
Yep. Mind.
The mind. Why do we think that's going to change now that they become teenagers and now they have access to social media and they could be covetous and look at what other people have and desire those things that other people that they may speak about in public school or that they may see in public school have? So it's the same thing. So when you are dealing with the kid, you got to understand, immediately their mind goes to sin.
So, mine. That's what kids learn.
Yeah.
Mine and no.
Mind and no. But that's
words.
why Baruch 4:28. And then I'll be quiet.
This is the book of Baruch, chapter 4, and verse 28. For as it was your mind to go astray from God, so being returned, seek him 10 times more.
Right. So when you're in the world, you may deal with your kids a certain way. You have to put 10 times the amount of effort to make sure they're following the right path when you come into the truth. You got to put 10 times the amount of effort into that, because in the world, like you were bringing out earlier, so you could throw an iPad in front of their face or put them in front of a TV and not care, because you just want them quiet or you just stressed out. When you come into the truth, you got to deal with that, and you got to deal with ways to build them up in the spirit of the Lord, to have faith, to seek the Lord's commandments, because that's for their benefit.
Don't say it like that. It was hatred. That's what I'm trying to paint the picture of. At the end of the day, you put them in front of that iPad, or you put them in front of that thing because at the end of the day, you don't really care about their soul the way you should. That's just what it comes down to. I know that's a tough pill to swallow, but that's the reality of it. You don't make the time or try to adjust yourself or find a way because you feel like it's okay for them to do those things. But what I'm pointing out is, if you understand what it's doing to them, it's hatred. Yep. It's hatred. Just like you wouldn't put a crack pipe in front of a crackhead, you shouldn't put the iPad in front of a kid and just let them go. It's the same type of hatred.
Yep.
Hatred. And we got to get better. Go ahead, say what you're saying.
So you wouldn't put a crack pipe in front of your child, but you're doing the equivalent when you're giving them.
Most won't.
That's true. I knew some
Most
parents
won't.
that I knew some parents that give
I know
their
some
kids.
parents that would too. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Most won't.
If you gotta,
If you love your children, you won't do any of this.
that's it. Yep.
That's the point I'm making. Hebrews 13 and verse 4. I'm with you, officer. We pray, you know. We pray.
Yeah.
We take heed, because all of us interact with children. Whether you got small kids or you got teenage kids, all the kids that come in this body are our responsibility. That's the point. And they battling lust. You may not think they are. They're not going to say, I'm lusting after this, or I'm lusting after that. They're just going to ask you for something. That's the way a kid reveals their lust. Dad, can I have this, this, and this? Where you get that? Where you want that from? Where you learn about that from? Seen it somewhere, seen it on TikTok, seen it on a video, heard about it from somewhere, somebody else got it. That's their lust. It's magnifying itself. I used to ask my mom a question until she just got so pissed off. She'd be like, ugh. I was annoying. Then I get what I want, and I start on the next day. Break her down. You know what I mean? Just telling you the truth. Now my sons do it to me, but they won't win. Hebrews 13 and verse 4.
Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled. But whoremongers and adulterers God will judge.
See, now if the kids was hearing that on TikTok, they wouldn't be committing fornication. They wouldn't be thinking that they in love, right? These things wouldn't be happening because they would say, you know what? I need to have a husband if I'm a sister. A husband would say, I need to have a wife, right? That would be the mindset. But the kids don't got that mindset. They're learning to lust. That's what they're growing up into. They're saying my body is supposed to be used on as many partners as possible before I die. And that's not the type of car God gave you. That car finna break down. That's what's going to happen. You're going to be a broken down car, sis, little bro. That's what's going to happen. Read that. Read verse 5.
Let your conversation be without covetousness.
See? See the next thing he said? Let your conversation be without covetousness. Go ahead.
And be content with such things as ye have.
But the kids don't hear this. They don't hear have one wife, right? One husband. Stop being whores and whoremongers and relax. You got enough. You got shoes on your feet, clothes on your back, food to eat, a place to live. What you tripping about? My mom used to tell me there's a kid starving in Biafra. And then she would make me sit at the table and eat my dinner. And then she would show me the little pictures of the babies with the big belly. She used to guilt me. Now I do it to my son. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You're going to eat this. It's people starving. People starving. Look at this picture. Damn. This is before tablets, too. She walked me to the computer. Let's look up Biafra. All right. I'm going to go back to the table and eat my Exodus 23 and verse 2.
Book of Exodus, chapter 23 and verse 2. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil.
Read.
Neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many, to wrest judgment. Neither shalt thou...
So the point I want is thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil. It says the same thing here in Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 10. I'm going to read this and I'm going to make the point. God said you are not to follow the multitude and do evil. Right? Read this. Proverbs 1:10.
Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 10. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not.
See what the Bible says? If sinners entice you, consent thou not. Guess what? That used to be physical. That's digital now. That's digital. Kids get online, they put on these headsets, they playing video games, they on TikTok, they on the iPad. Guess what? They're being enticed online. Do this. Use your credit card to buy this. Join this chat room. Jump in this. Watch this movie. Watch this thing you're not supposed to do. That's what the kids are doing. They had to shut down this Roblox thing if you look into it because of all the evil. Yeah, sis starts shaking her head. Yeah, yep, that Roblox the devil. Yep, that Roblox is the devil. Them little kids, they be little on Roblox, and they doing all types of evil on it. You think they playing a little game with robots. They on there selling drugs. Hey, go look it up. You know what I'm saying? Go look it up. Grand Theft Auto is the worst, too. Little kids play Grand Theft Auto. They shooting everybody and killing everybody all day, and then you wonder how come he grew up to be a real murderer. He been doing it since he was 5. He's trained. He know how to hide in the alley. He been hiding in the alley since he learned how to pick up the remote. He just started doing it in real life. But you ain't been paying attention to him. Give me 1 John chapter 2 and verse 15. So when these young men and these young women, they go off into these lusts, right? And they go deep into them. Remember, it's getting fed every single day. Every single day.
1 John chapter 2 verse 15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
Read.
For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world.
You see what it says in there? It says, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, right? Give me Matthew chapter 5 and verse 27. The lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes is in the world. That's why these young girls, they look up, they're like, man, Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan's a whoremonger. That's the reality of it. Lori Harvey's a whoremonger. Rihanna's a whoremonger. Right? This is what they are. They're not married. They got children. They sleeping from partner to partner. They putting it in the news. They make it cool to be whores and whoremongers. And then we say, man, I want to be like that whoremonger when I grow up. Then a young sister say, I want to be like that whore. She's the one. Read that. But this is what God said.
Matthew chapter 5 verse 27. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her, hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
Now think about how many women or how many men, in the case of sisters, are being looked at on Instagram per day. Think about how many counts of adultery people got on a record. Think about it. How much adultery these kids is committing. Because Christ is showing you something. He's saying, if you look at somebody with lust in your eyes, you're committing adultery. So think about it. When they're scrolling through TikTok all day, how much lust is in their brain? How many times they commit adultery? Not one count. They've been on it for 8 hours. You know, a TikTok like 10 seconds. They scroll and scroll and scroll. They commit adultery all day. And then you wonder, why is it manifesting itself in a physical? Because they've been doing it. They've been committing adultery since they got a phone, since they got a TikTok, since they could watch movies. They've been committing adultery. They've been lusting. And nobody ever checked it. Go to Proverbs 6 and 26. As a matter of fact, committing adultery is regular for a lot of people.
Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 26. For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life.
That's what you call a thirst trap. Right? That's what you call that. They call it thirst trapping. Read it again. Watch what it says.
For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life.
That's what's happening online. Thirst traps are being posted, and your children are falling in lust. Young and in lust. They see the thirst trap, they go, man. Young girl go, man, look at him. He got a 6-pack. He lived with his mama, though. Right? She don't know that. The picture look good. He's sitting on a Bentley. It's not his Bentley. She don't know. She shoot him a DM. The young boy say, man, she look good. Her booty, she got a BBL from Dominican Republic. It's fake. And she sleeps on an air mattress. But the men don't care. They scroll and they look at it over and over and over again. Committing adultery. Lusting. Give me Sirach chapter 41 and verse 17. And then we get in this pattern, and then we say, man, why is these kids bugging out? How'd they get pregnant so early? It used to be different. You used to have the young girl, and she hung around all hoes. Or the young boy, and he hung around all whoremongers. And then you'd be like, oh, she probably going to end up pregnant. She hang with the pregnant gang. Right? That's how it used to be. But now you don't even know who her friends are. You don't know who she associated with because she got 1,000 followers, and it's men in her DM all day. Dan, you can look it up for me, right? Look it up on the side. Look up how many times a woman gets DM'd on average. Think about it when you put a little girl online, when she got an Instagram, when she got a TikTok. Let's look it up. But let's read that.
Sirach chapter 41, verse 17. Be ashamed of whoredom before father and mother, and of a lie before a prince and a mighty man.
That's not the reality today. These young kids are not afraid of whoredom. That's why they wear booty shorts, right? They dress scantily clad, right? I could have said it another way. They dress like hoes, right? And the reason they do it is because their parents don't put shame upon it. Their parents don't check them. And those same parents that's not checking their kids, they influencing your children. That's in this truth. Because when they go online, they see them and they say, I want to be like that. I want to dress like her. She gets to dress half naked and do whatever she wants. Why can't I be like that? The young men, they look at it, they say, man, he got 3, 4 different women. My wife getting on my nerves tonight. Why can't I get another one? This is what's happening when you go online. That's what's happening. Jump down to verse 20. Verse
20. And of silence before them that salute thee, and to look upon an harlot.
He said he doesn't. Jump up to verse 17. Well, the point that he's making is be ashamed of these things, right? So jump to verse 20. Verse 20 is something else you should be ashamed of. Read it again.
And of silence before them that salute thee, and to look upon an harlot.
So the point he's making here is you should be ashamed to look upon a harlot. You should be ashamed to look upon a thirst trap. That's not what the young boys is learning. So the young girls is learning, let me be the thirst trap because it gets me attention. It gets me likes. That's why some of them is in the truth and they go to school and they take the dress off when they get to the door and they put on the pants. They doing this because they want to be seen. They want the attention. Read the next verse.
Verse 21. And to turn away thy face from thy kinsman, or to take away a portion or a gift, or to gaze upon another man's wife.
You got women online that's married and still taking the same thirst trap pictures. It's the same thing. You're supposed to be ashamed to look upon that, but the internet has created an environment where that is okay. It's no different than what we read in the beginning of the class, Rome and Greece. No different. Rome and Greece created this environment. America's doing the exact same thing. Proverbs chapter 7 and verse, actually give me Sirach 23 and verse 17. I said this on the Sabbath, I'm going to say it again. Sirach 23 and verse 17.
Sirach
I'm going to wrap up soon, y'all.
Sirach chapter 23 verse 17. All bread is sweet to a whoremonger. He will not leave off till he die.
So all bread is sweet to a whoremonger. A young whoremonger, he don't love nobody. As a matter of fact, he's getting taught not to love women. That's what he's getting raised up. When he's in a barbershop, when he's with his uncles, he's being taught, don't love that girl that you smashing. That's what these young men is learning. And that's what the young women is learning. That's what's happening outside these truth. And then your kids, they go on the internet and they get influenced by that. They get influenced by that. Then they say things like, I don't really want no husband. Be in the truth. I don't really want no husband. Be in the truth. I don't really want no wife. It's because you learn from a whore. That's why a whore taught you to be a whore. And in your brain, it's just all you learn how to be a hoe. And you said, I don't ever want to settle down and do what Hebrews 13 and 4 says. Because you never learned that it's important to be a wife and how it impacts the community. You never learned to be a husband. And it's hard for that to combat the fact that you be on social media 8 hours a day. That's what makes it difficult. Because you're hearing that once or twice a Sabbath, and you watching social media, you watching whores and whoremongers frolic and be free 8 hours a day. More than you do work. It says, on average, a woman in the U.S. will get around 5 to 10 messages each day. Some get less than this, and some can get as much as 150 to 200 messages a day. Different men. You got to think about it. You put your daughter on the internet, she start posting thirst traps. If she get 5 to 10 messages a day, she might block 10 one day. But eventually, she going to bite. Read that again.
And behold, there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot and subtle of heart. She is loud and stubborn. Her feet abide not in her house. Now is she without. now in the streets, and lieth in wait at every corner.
That's what happens, right? It says he met a woman with the attire of a harlot, and she's not in the house. She out in the streets. Now you say she's for the streets. That's the term that the kids use today. And then she always been for the streets. But she's on Instagram now. She's on TikTok. That's how she's showing off her body. And then somebody goes on there and they say, you know what? I want to purchase. I want to buy this. Proverbs 29 and verse 3. They're learning lust, right? Covetousness, fornication, adultery. They're seeing it every single day. We got to combat it. You got to you got to limit the phone time. You got to realize what's happening and pay attention to that. And some of y'all be on TikTok too much. You got to get off TikTok too, because you battling some of these spirits too. Read that.
Proverbs chapter 29, verse 3. Whoso loveth wisdom rejoiceth his father, but he that keepeth company with harlots spendeth his substance.
That's why they created OnlyFans, because the first hoe probably read this verse. She said, if you keep company with harlots, you're going to spend money. So guess what? They say, you know what will be good? We're going to create sites where we're going to charge you. And we're going to put them on all these TikTok pages. And we're going to put them on these Instagram pages. That's why they created this. That's why they're able to make money, because they understand that you got an internet now where you're among harlots all day. That's what these kids is amongst. 2 Timothy 2 and 22. So we got to understand what's happening when we look at these children. We might look at them and go, oh, they so cute, they're 8 or 9. They might be into some wickedness just off the internet. We got to pay attention as parents. We got to stop leaving our kid to the devil so that the devil could take over their mind. Your 1 hour of reading every day and praying with them each night ain't stopping the 8 hours of TikTok, the 10 hours of YouTube videos. It's not stopping nothing. And some of us got to get off the damn TikTok so we can start to get our brain right, because you got the same problem. You can't focus, right? You addicted to your phone. You can't leave your phone nowhere. So now you on your phone and they on the tablet. And both of y'all getting poisoned. That's what's happening. And then they running through the house doing whatever the hell they want to do, and you're like, man, they tripping. The kids is bad. I gave them the iPad. You destroying them. That's what you're doing. Read that.
2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 22. Flee also youthful lusts, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart.
You see what the Bible says? It says, flee youthful lusts. Right? Give me Sirach chapter 30 and verse 1. In order for these kids to flee youthful lust, they're going to need their parents' help. They're going to need the adults in the community to know what's going on and pay attention to it, because it's different than before. Before, a young man used to have to call somebody's daddy and say, hey, I want to take your daughter on a date. Now he DMs her on TikTok and Instagram, and she replies back, and her daddy don't give a damn. Her daddy don't care. Her daddy don't even know she on TikTok 8 hours a day. Her daddy has no clue. She got 3, 4, 5 boyfriends, and one of them don't even live over here. He's 45. This is the type of stuff that's going on. Sirach chapter 30 and verse 1.
Sirach chapter 30, verse 1. He that loveth his son causeth him oft to feel the rod.
Read.
That he may have joy of him in the end.
You got to beat your kids. Go ahead.
He that chastiseth his son shall have joy in him, and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintances.
Uh-huh.
He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy.
So you got to teach your children. Teach your son. Go ahead.
And before his friends he shall rejoice of him.
Jump down and go to verse 8.
Verse 8. And horse not broken becometh headstrong.
So a horse that is not broken in, he becomes headstrong. Meaning what? He does whatever the heck he wants to do. That's why when you come to the Sabbath, you see them little kids running around, not listening, doing whatever the hell they want to do. The reason they do that is because they ain't getting disciplined enough. I tell my wife all the time, if my sons act up, that whole week they getting whooped. That whole week. Because next time you see them, they're going to be on point. They're going to be like little soldiers. You're going to be like, dang, what happened? Just going to look across the room and be like, you had a whole week of this. Because the reason they do this is because they're allowed to be on Instagram and TikTok and figure out what they want to do, and that's what creates the mindset of I could do whatever I want. And then they grow up into big I could do whatever I want. And now they punching their parents in the face. Now they sneaking people in the house. They doing stuff like that because of what? Nobody checking them. Nobody checking them. So they go off the deep end. And it grows over time. So when we learn this and we see the pattern and we see these examples and we see what goes right with it and we see what goes wrong, we all got to learn from the examples. That's the purpose. That's the purpose. We got to see this stuff happen and say, you know what, we're not going to let it happen again. As a group, as a unit. It's not just on one person to be like, oh, watch that kid. That kid might be over in the corner on the iPad at the feast day doing something evil they ain't supposed to be doing. We got to check each other. Read that again.
And horse not broken becometh headstrong, and a child left to himself will be willful.
And that's what happens when you leave your kid on the iPad. He's left to himself, so he does whatever he wants to do. Jump down to verse 11.
Verse 11. Give him no liberty in his youth, and wink not at his follies.
Don't allow him to do whatever he wants to do, be in a corner doing whatever he wants. Don't allow her to do whatever she wants to do. Because if you do that, then you're going to end up with a wicked child. They're young and in lust because they're not being watched. That's what it comes down to. I know we got jobs. I know we got to work. I know we got a whole bunch of stuff cooking. But a lot of the problems you got in your life right now is because nobody ever checked you when you was a kid. That's what happened. When you was a kid, they let you go crazy, right? Then you ended up with the baby or whatever happened, or you ended up on the drugs or whatever happened. And the reason it happens is because nobody checked you. Read verse 13. You got something? I'm about to wrap it up soon, but go ahead. Say it.
No, I was just gonna say, like, with the when it comes to the kids and ending up sleeping around or boyfriend and girlfriend and stuff. You ever seen where you were little, or even other kids when they're little, the parents are like, oh yeah, they're gonna be together, or they might do something where they act like they dating, holding hands, or they try to play parents and stuff like that, and then you'd be like, yeah, that's. The parents are like, oh, that's cute, that's cool, that's encouraging that same behavior. You're teaching them to follow that same path, that it's okay.
Playing house.
Play house. I know. I played house before. I know what happened.
Yeah, so did I. The hell?
It wasn't righteous.
Half this room, half this we wasn't playing house by ourselves.
Yeah, nah.
The hell? Everybody was playing house. The hell? Needed to play church.
Yep.
The hell? read Sirach 22 and verse 4. My goodness. Needed to play Bible. We was all playing house. Got the devil on us. That's what it was. Because we was left by ourselves.
Yep.
That's what it came down to. You know how you was left by yourself? Because you was figuring out who was going to be the mommy and the daddy. You was having a whole vote. She going to be the mommy. I'm going to be the daddy. That's going to be the cousin. The hell? Little kids arguing about who going to be the mommy and the daddy. You better shut your black ass up. Read Sirach 22 and verse 4, man. You pissing me off to talk about house. You right. This is what I'm talking about. House was TikTok back in the day. It's the same thing. It was probably worse. Sirach 22 and verse 4. You ever play house, Desmond? Probably not. Read Sirach 22 and verse 4. Go ahead.
Sirach chapter 22 and verse 4. A wise daughter shall bring an inheritance to her husband.
Yep.
But she that liveth dishonestly is her father's heaviness.
Read.
She that is bold dishonoreth
You
both.
saw the father get heavy, right? When we watched the video earlier. When she was on TikTok for 8 hours a day, he said, damn, I didn't even, I wanted to cry. I had to hold it together. Go ahead.
Dishonoreth both her father and her husband, but they both shall despise her.
So the point is she will grow bolder and bolder because she's left to herself. He will grow bolder and bolder because he's left to himself. And then they'll become your dishonor. And then when everybody say, hey, little shoot 'em up bang bang with the 4 baby mamas, ain't that your son? You'll be like, yeah, that's my son. He used to play on the iPad. Yep. I used to leave him with the iPad in the corner. Yep. Because you created that. We got to take accountability for what we create in our community. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and then parents have the nerve to say, I don't know why they do this.
Yep.
I don't know how they ended up
I don't know
like
how
this.
he became this way. I didn't teach him that. I ain't teach him that. You ain't teach him nothing.
Yeah.
You didn't teach him nothing. That's the reality of it. Sirach chapter 42 and verse 9. You didn't teach him nothing. Or not enough. I won't say that. You might have tried. You might have did everything you could have. But the reality is the influences in this world, they strong. That's the point I'm making. They strong on these kids, man. And we got to realize when they young and in lust, it's a lot of stuff attacking them. They come to here and they play a good game. They put on a hair wrap and they look good, but these kids don't believe yet. They just here. A lot of them do not believe in the Bible. Newsflash, I know you making them read their Bible and recite precepts and they know the 10 Commandments. They don't believe none of that. They doing it because it's attached to their food. The second it's not attached to their food and they realize there's a way out, then they got a real choice. When they can leave your house and go get a job and take care of themselves financially, that's when you're going to find out if they really believe in the Bible. Because they can make the decision to say, I don't got to keep God's laws. I'll go get me a job and take care of myself. That's when you're going to find out. So all these little babies you see, and they cute, and y'all hugging them, and y'all sisters picking them, they might be the devil. Give them till they about 20 years old, and you find out if they righteous. Until then, everybody's left to be judged. You got to look at them and be like, that might be the devil right there. This one might be the devil. That one might be the devil. That one might be the devil. I don't know. We got to wait. Just play it even cool. Don't get too invested in none of these kids because they could be gone tomorrow. Read that.
Sirach chapter 42 and verse 9. The father waketh for the daughter when no man knoweth, and the care for her taketh away sleep. When she is young, lest she pass away the flower of her age,
Lest she loses her virginity. Go ahead.
and being married, lest she should be hated.
Go ahead.
In her virginity, lest she should be defiled, and gotten with child in her father's house. And having an husband, lest she should misbehave herself, and when she is married, lest she should be barren.
See, it says she should have a husband or she'll misbehave. So either she's supposed to be with a father being watched or a husband that's keeping her in line. This is how it's supposed to go, not be on TikTok shaking her behind. And the men DMing her. This is a new thing in the earth. New levels of wickedness with the same spirit from Esau. Go ahead.
Keep a sure watch over a shameless daughter, lest she make
And the reality is, in this time, you don't really know if your daughter's shameless. That's the reality of it. You don't really know if your son's shameless. You think they the perfect citizen, just like all of us was the perfect citizen, right? Right? We was all perfect. When we went in the house, we did what our parents said, for the most part. Some of y'all was worse than me. Some of y'all was like, Mom, I ain't doing issues say. I couldn't get down like that. I wouldn't be here to have this conversation with you. You know what I'm saying? I would have died. So I'm just saying, as how my household would, I would have got tied to a tree and beat like I was in Jamaica. I'm telling you what my father told me, and that was enough. I got scared straight. He used to be a correction officer. Yeah, it's a long story. But anyway, my point is, some of your kids, they fake like they doing good, right? But they not. They online DMing people and hitting people up and calling people on that same phone you paying for with your hard-earned money, and they getting A's in school, but they got 3, 4 girlfriends or boyfriends, and you don't know nothing about it. Tonight, get home and check them phones. Say, give me that phone, take that password off, let me see what's going on in there. That's what you should be doing. If you paying for it, that's yours. Don't put no password on this and charge it in my room. This is what I would do. Go ahead.
Keep a sure watch over a shameless daughter, lest she make thee a laughingstock to thine enemies, and a byword in the city, and a reproach among the people, and make thee ashamed before the multitude. Behold not everybody's beauty, and sit not in the midst of women.
Okay. Give me Sirach 26 and verse 9. Yep, it's time. Go ahead.
Sirach chapter 26 and verse 9. The whoredom of a woman may be known in her haughty looks and eyelids. If thy daughter be shameless, keep her in straitly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty.
And that go for a daughter or for a son. They will abuse themselves by having too much freedom. That's what's going to happen. You give them too much TikTok, they about to go off. Too much Instagram, too much iPad, too much freedom where you're not watching them, they are going to do some evil. The Bible is true. Just as much as it says you were going to slavery on slave ships, it tells you your daughter or your son is going to become a whore or a whoremonger. It's true. We got to start believing it. We can't be looking at the book and we want to believe the slave ship part, but we don't want to believe that your daughter could become a whore, that your son could become a whoremonger. We got to believe that part too. Read that again.
If thy daughter be shameless, keep her in straitly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty. Watch over an impudent eye, and marvel not if she trespass against thee. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler, when he hath found a fountain, and drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down, and open her quiver against every arrow.
Because once she get loose, she out here. Everybody can hit it. Same thing with these young men. Once they get a taste, they over it for everybody. They running around trying to hit everybody. They sneaking in houses. They jumping over fences. You want to know how we know? Because we did it. All of us did it in here. All of us did this evil. Now it's our time to create a generation that stops it. That's the purpose of us understanding what's going on. To not act like, oh, this is not happening with them. That's what our parents did, and guess what we did? We did much evil with them acting stupid. We coming in the house high and drunk and walking past our mama, going to the bathroom like she don't know what's going on, then she play stupid. Where'd you come from? My friend's house. Come on, man. We lying. But our parents act like they don't know. Don't do that. Let's stop. Let's stop playing ignorant. That TikTok, that iPad, that Instagram is going to be the death of these children. They in lust. That's what they dealing with. They young and in lust. And y'all got to really take that into consideration when you see them on that stuff and say, let me stop playing with them. Let me go get that iPad and see what they're looking at. Let me sit over their shoulder. Give me Ezekiel chapter 14. Actually, give me Revelation 21 and verse 7. And then I'm on Ezekiel 14. 2 more and I'm wrapping it up.
Revelation chapter 21 and verse 7. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son.
Read.
But the fearful and unbelieving, and the abominable, and murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death.
So it say whoremongers will be in the lake of fire. That could be your little baby. That same one you giving hugs, the one you raised up, the one you fed when they couldn't feed themselves, that little baby could end up being that whoremonger that end up in the lake of fire. At 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. God didn't put an age on that. He didn't put an age on it. They could be addicted to this stuff and you letting them go, and they might end up in the lake of fire. Ezekiel chapter 14, and give me verse 20 to get to the point.
Book of Ezekiel, chapter 14 and verse 20. Though Noah, Daniel, and Job were in it, as I live, saith the Lord God, they shall deliver neither son nor daughter. They shall but deliver their own souls.
Noah, Daniel, and Job, my fault, are righteous men. So it's saying, these righteous men, read it again from the top.
Though Noah, Daniel, and Job were in it, as I live, saith the Lord God, they shall deliver neither son nor daughter.
They shall deliver neither who?
Neither son nor daughter.
Yep.
They shall but deliver their own souls by their righteousness.
They can only deliver themselves. So you can't save your kids. The best thing you can do is keep a watchful eye over them. Some of them going to be the devil. That's just the reality of it. So even though I'm going through youth and lust, some of them going to be the devil. I know you think they're cute. I know you holding them. You're like, I love this baby. This baby's so cute. That baby might grow up and be a whoremonger, and that be it. Never overcome that lust. The same one you fed, the same one you broke your back for and took care of, you can't stop them. The best thing you can do is keep them disciplined. It's the best thing you could do. You got to take that very seriously. Don't let them go off like you did. Don't give them that liberty that you had to do wickedness, because that's what's creating the wickedness. You gave them that peace, that liberty, that free time, so you speak it, or left them in the room. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to become you times two. Times two. You didn't have TikTok. You didn't have Instagram. You didn't have that. You was a whoremonger with outside, with the neighborhood. Imagine if you had Instagram. What type of evil you would have done? You would have had 3 babies. That's just the reality. You would have been getting flued out. This is what these kids is dealing with. Give me Titus 2 and verse 11, and I'm wrapping it up here, 11 and 12. Hey, all praise to the Most High. Lord's will, y'all learn something. We're going to close it on this one.
Titus chapter 2, verse 11. For the grace of God that bringeth salvation hath appeared to all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world.
So that's what we're learning, to live soberly, righteously in this present world, right? We gotta deny our worldly lusts. That's what we got to do, and we got to teach the kids to do that. So that TikTok, that Instagram, that being in lust, we got to realize it. If it's on you, you got to deal with it, and if it's on these kids, you got to check it. You got to first get out your phone so you can see a problem with being in your phone all day, and then you got to look after their spirits, because they're getting destroyed with this online stuff. Y'all understand?
Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is men leading by example. Nation is women's support. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is you. It's nation time.
His word, his word, his word.